Rachel Locke. I studied here at Birkbeck and did an MSc in International Business with Development, and now I'm an inclusive economic growth consultant working on development projects. So the paper we worked on was really trying to look at access to finance as a way of alleviating poverty for women in Kenya. And what we wanted to understand is whether entrepreneurship or self-employment was something that women did through necessity or whether they saw it as an opportunity. We were really interested in trying to understand the factors that drew women into self-employment or entrepreneurship, and whether they wanted to stay within or whether they were looking to move into jobs in the formal sector. So in Kenya, I think there's, and actually many other countries in Africa, there's been a real push to support the development of products that are tailored to women and to support women. One of the biggest constraints for women in many African countries is that they don't own land, or they don't have collateral or assets, so they're unable to access finance. But a lot of sort of methods have been put in place to try and alleviate those constraints, which means that financial products and microfinance is much more accessible to women. And as a result, what we've seen is a huge rise in women sort of going ahead and taking out loans and starting their own businesses, which is great. And many of them have gone on to be very successful. So micro-enterprises really, vary and cross all sorts of sectors and industries. But I think for a lot of women and a lot of the women that I've worked with and have had the pleasure of talking to, they really like to focus in on beauty products. That's something that's really popular, whether it's selling sort of creams and lotions and potions, or whether it's opening salons and spas. But also very traditionally, a lot of women are selling fruits and vegetables. They may be less involved in the production themselves, but actually they're sort of the ones that are sat at the roadside selling from kiosks. And some of them, those that are slightly more entrepreneurial, have gone on to develop juices out of the fruits and sort of see the next level of how they can push their business. I think a really common observation that's happened over the years is that microfinance, or money itself as a sort of tool, is not sufficient to support women, but also people who are sort of at the bottom of the pyramid. They also really lack a lot of the basic training, skills and knowledge in terms of how to run a business, how to start a business. And I think whilst there's a lot of products and services out there, they're not currently targeted or haven't been targeted at supporting micro-enterprises. I think a really clear example is around bookkeeping. There's a lot of accounting firms that offer services to medium and large enterprises, but actually, a one-woman or one-man business doesn't need accounting processes. They just need very basic bookkeeping records so that they can differentiate between profit and income, and so they can understand the amount of money they're putting into their business and the amount of money they're getting out of it. So I think training in those areas, quality, I think that's something that we also see as a huge area of opportunity with micro-enterprises. Simple adjustments to the types of raw materials and inputs they're using, as well as the skills to sort of perfect a product or to innovate, is something that could really boost and stimulate the growth of these enterprises. So I'm really fortunate that my current role is working on a project in northern Nigeria called Mafita, which means a way out in the local Hausa language. It's a very complex program in that it's trying to support up to 68,000 marginalised youth to find skills that are relevant to employment. And when we say relevant to employment, we mean sort of demand-driven. So, skills that will actually result in jobs that are available in the labour market. I think historically a lot of skills programs have focused on the skills provision, but haven't really thought about the sort of the outcome and the sort of the job side of things. So this program really is looking at skills that are relevant to the local economy. I'm the local economic development manager, so my role is to look at where the opportunities are in the local market and to work with companies but also micro enterprises to help create the job opportunities. I think in northern Nigeria it's a complex part of the world. It's suffered in recent years from sort of Boko Haram insurgency, and so enterprise growth has been slow. And what we're trying to look at is how we can support micro enterprises of 1 to 3, 5 people and help them to create 1 or 2 job opportunities. And if you can do that with sort of up to 50,000 enterprises, then you're really on your way to sort of supporting local economic growth. And we do see that there's a real opportunity to do that.